What's going on, everybody? How you doing? In today's video, we are gonna keep doing these interviews because I think it's pretty cool. It gives you that kind of behind the scenes, that like in-depth feel of like, okay, you're getting to know the artist, the band better, maybe a little bit more of an appreciation, maybe a little bit more of like, oh wow, those guys are dicks, kind of thing. You never know. You never know. Depends on the interview, right? So today we're gonna check out Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh.
Wow, interview with Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is from 2006.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Fuse.
Okay, yeah, this is from Fuse TV.
I forgot about Fuse.
Okay, all right. I don't know if I am familiar with it. I wasn't watching. I was in a total bubble at this time, 2006. I was in my own bubble, basically. So this is like Stadium Arcadium time period for these guys.
Okay.
So, when I was into them and the stuff, the more the stuff that I liked was before Stadium Arcadium. But at this time, I was teaching bass then in Boston, and I had tons of students. This is one of the reasons why I like Flea. I had tons of students, young kids, coming in wanting to learn stuff off of this album. Tons of them. So I like Flea because he's a very out front bass player that brings kids to the instrument. So I think that's really cool. So anyways, we're going to check out this interview, Red Hot Chili Peppers from 2006. If you're new here, please subscribe, check out my videos, all kinds of videos, reaction videos, bass videos, music videos, check it out. If you like the channel, you want to support the channel, you can hit super thanks underneath this video. You can hit me direct in the description. I got PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Amazon wishlist, mailing address, and I do donation requests. So if there's something you want us to watch, listen to, talk about, hit us up direct, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and in the notes section, leave a link, leave a description, let us know what you want the video to be on. We'll make the video. You can also email me at jpanreadsemail@gmail.com. Thank you. All right, let's get to it. Bam.
Each different phase that we're in is just, a time capsule of us at that time in our lives, and especially with a band like us, because it's such a non-contrived thing. It's just what we're feeling at that moment, and that's it. So I think that our music being relevant has to do with us being honest to where we're at and just not being contrived.
Now, hopefully, as a musician and as a guy who's a fourth of a band, I can, along with my fellow musicians, keep evolving and trying new stuff. And people mention that they like the singing better on this record than the last record. That's fine. I liked all of the different weird stages I've gone through as a vocalist.
At least he knows.
To get where I am today. I appreciate, all levels of ability and phrasing and, whatever it takes to do my job in this band as a singer and a 1/4 songwriter. They grow. I try to keep up. They play music. It inspires me to sing in a certain way. A lot of it's just me bouncing energy off of this great wall of sound that develops at rehearsal. Every time I go in there, something, beautiful is flying around the room, and I just try to, dive in that stream and, make some noise that sounds right. Danny California happens to be based on a character who appears, and by the way, is kind of the connection. It's more like she jumped from one song into another song. But energetically, they're just so different, and it wasn't something that I really set out to do. It just kind of, it accidentally happened, and somewhere along the way, I realized that that's the same girl, jumped from one song to another.
There's always a healthy competitiveness between us, because we're all, wanting to give and wanting to, to show the other guys, look, I did something great, do you like it? And we want everyone to like it, and so it's always, we're always, when you're with the four guys and everyone's putting out their thing, you can't just human nature to have an air of competitiveness. But really, more than anything, it's just wanting to give something good that the other three guys like, and wanting to support the visions that the other ones put forward.
If there's any competition, from my perspective, it's almost like you're just playing a little game for a second. Like it's not serious competition. It's more about four people becoming one. It's more about four people uniting to create one thing together and to work as one force together. Like in Chad and Mai's case, like we'll look at like Pete Townsend and Keith Moon, like where there actually is a competitive thing going on, and we're inspired by that energy. So we might bring that energy to rehearsal when we're jamming or something, but we don't actually have it in our hearts to be like
John.
angry at each other the way those guys were. Just having the opportunity to live a creative existence, I just feel really lucky being a person who's born you know, with this as being what was in store for me is to pretty much just make my life constant creativity, and when it's not creative, it's doing the things that a person does to make themselves the best they can be to be creative. I've been pretty good with taking care of myself in the last 7 years, since I rejoined the band, and I just feel really lucky. I also, it has partly to do with the fact that I had that outside perspective of totally disappearing from the human race, sort of, in a lot of ways. I didn't have fame to cling to anymore. I didn't have like money to cling to anymore. I didn't have like friends who supported me to cling to. And I see these things differently now than I saw them then. I see them all as a chance for freedom, from me as an individual, that I didn't appreciate or take full advantage of the first time around. So for me, like at a time like a couple of years ago when I had 6 months off, it was just like, I'm just going to record as much music as I can, Also because when we're on tour, I write a lot of music, but I don't have a chance to record it all, So that was right now I'm looking for a little window where I can make another album that I have the music planned for, and I just but I've been working so hard promoting the Chili Peppers that there's been no time lately, but I'm gonna squeeze it in there,
To me, I remember, when I was a kid, when I was in junior high, and I first really sort of became kind of conscious about popular culture and music. And to me, and I'm not sure if they were the biggest or not, but to me, the biggest band in the world was Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I always, to this day, I always really admire them, as I remember that everybody liked them, Like at school,
Especially
it was
in
always
Southern
like, there were the
California.
kids that like Kiss, the kids that like P-Funk, and that was real separate. But P-Funk. But everybody liked Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Kiss, kiss, kiss. P-Funk, P-Funk, P-Funk.
Yeah. But everybody liked Earth, Wind, and Fire, and not just black and white people, young people, old people,
Chinese?
the Mexican community in Los Angeles. Chinese hated them.
No, Chinese loved Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Those the Koreans.
The Chinese guy turned me on to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That must have been a Taiwanese I'm thinking of. But anyways, to me, that was always something to reach for, and when I was a kid, I was a trumpet player. I liked they had horns and a jazz influence and stuff, but I still think of them all the time, and it's like music is this big picture, and our music is really for everybody, and we're influenced by everything, and we love everything, all kinds of music. There's every category of music has something beautiful in it that we love and that affects us profoundly, and that's,
There were such black acts like Olivia Newton-John that really spoke to us growing up, and no, I'm kidding, of course,
the
but
heck?
I do want to give a shout out to our record label as not bothering us at all when it comes to with the music that we make. They do not hassle us. They do not suggest things to us. They're not like, oh, well, that's great, but that's not. They really give us complete freedom, and we're pretty lucky to be in that position too. One thing that seems to have changed is that as we've changed and remained teachable and enthusiastic and kind of into inventing and experimenting with new stuff and new experiences, I think so too has Rick Rubin. As a producer, he hasn't just relied on what he did that was successful 10 years ago or whatever. He's like a kid. Music still makes him happier than anything else in the world. And I think he's been willing to, evolve and to remain enthusiastic about music in the same way that we have. So it's not like we kept growing. He stayed the same. He kind of, matched our excitement. And that's kind of cool for a guy who's been doing it as long as he has, to still treat it like it means everything in the world.
I think our personal relationships with him always have, shifted and changed throughout the years. But our working relationship with him, I think, I don't know if you guys all agree with me, I think it's pretty much the same. We do our thing. We write the music. We write the songs. We put it all together. Then we get together with him, and he gives us a really, we trust his objective opinion on what we're doing, and it's very helpful to have that calm, objective opinion, because we're not always calm and objective people, and it's not like there's one leader in our band or anything, and we're all kind of, putting out ideas and stuff, and it's helpful to have that objective opinion that we trust.
I don't think any of us really go into the creative elements of writing music and songs and hanging out as a band thinking about what kind of numbers of records we've sold. I mean, we're grateful and we're pleased and we love reaching lots of people and it's exciting to sell records, but when we go and we get into a small rehearsal studio and we start jamming and writing, it's really, honestly, it's the last thing on anybody's mind. Yeah, it's a blessing. We're sort of free of that kind of interference when we're writing.
There is a certain energy that's inside the, when you're in a band who's been going for this long, and there's a certain amount of love coming from people. Like, I don't discount that figures largely into the music we make, but we're not conscious of it. But I feel that it is a transference that happens where the love that people send out works its way into the music. You know, I feel pretty sure of that. You know, but has nothing to do with how many are going to buy the records, because that's a
Cool.
future thing.
Nice. Yeah, awesome.
Okay. What was that guy on the left?
Yeah, I was laughing right at the very end right there because I was like, oh my God, Chad Smith looks bored.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be at the interview. He's like,
he
get me
looks
out
so
of
bored.
here.
He's like, guys, I'm not the one you want to talk to. I know that. I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm in the band, but like, you know,
Yeah.
just like the drums, I'm the support. You know, I'm just the support right here for these guys. And anyways, yeah, that's the drummer, Chad Smith. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. Very cool. So, John Frusciante, was he kicked out of the band? I don't remember.
I don't know, but I was like, when he was talking, he was super hard to follow.
He had a drug problem.
Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when you're like walking down the street and like a drug addict tries to talk to you and you're like, let me just be nice and talk to them, and you're trying to follow the conversation, you just can't. That's what it was like.
Yeah. The unexpected success turned the Red Hot Chili Peppers into rock stars. Frusciante was blindsided by his newfound fame and struggled to cope. Soon after the album's release, he began to develop a dislike for the band's popularity. He and Kiedis argued after concerts. John would say, we're too popular. I don't need to be at this level of success. I would just be proud to be playing this music in clubs like you guys were doing 2 years ago. Frusciante later said that the band's rise to popularity was too high, too far, too soon. Everything seemed to happen at once, and I just couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
Frusciante also began to feel that destiny was leading him away from the band. When the Chili Peppers began their world tour, he started to hear voices in his head telling him, you won't make it during the tour, you have to go now. He admitted to having once taken great pleasure in hedonism, desires to increase pleasure and to decrease pain. By the age of 20, I started doing it right and looking at it as an artistic expression instead of a way of partying and screwing a bunch of girls. To balance it out, I had to be extra humble, extra anti-rock star. He refused to take the stage during a performance of Tokyo's Club Quattro on May 7th, 1992, telling his bandmates that he was leaving the band. He was persuaded to perform, but left for California the next morning. It was just impossible for me to stay in the band any longer. It had come to the point where even though they wanted me in the band, it felt like I was forced out of the band. Not by any members in particular or management in particular, but just the direction it was going. Wow. In a 2015 interview, Chris Kirkwood said that following Frusciante's departure from the band in 92, Frusciante auditioned for the Meat Puppets. Wow. Kirkwood said, he showed up with his guitar out of its case and barefoot. We were on a major label then. We just got signed, and those guys had blown up to where they were at, and John needed to get out. John gets to our pad, and we started getting ready to play, and I said, you want to use my tuner? He said, no, I'll bend it in. It was so far out. Then we jammed, but it didn't come to anything. Maybe he wasn't in the right place, and we were a tight little unit. It just didn't quite happen, but it could have worked. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had problems. Yeah. That's why he was talking about the things that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, you know, he's like...
The band, you could tell when he was talking, the band was uncomfortable.
Really?
I could tell.
It got a little bit strange to me when he started talking about, like, doing other music, like, outside of Chili Peppers and, like, putting out those out. Like, when he started talking about that, then I was like, okay. Like, knowing that he's had a problem and he's talking like how he's talking, right? But...
Did you like that Flea said he likes Earth, Wind, and Fire?
I think I knew that.
Oh.
I think I knew that. Yeah, I think I knew that. So.
Flea seems like a very likable person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Out of everybody in the band.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, aside from maybe Chad Smith. But you'd never know. You never know because you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But,
did you know they were all wearing golf hats except for Anthony?
You know, that's interesting. For some reason, I only noticed that Flea was.
No,
I do see that they all are now, though. But for some reason, I only noticed it was Flea. That's interesting that you call that a golf hat.
What is it?
It
looks like those hats that golfers wear.
No, it's true. It's true.
Oh, it's called a Kangol?
It's like, I think that's a brand.
Mm.
But to me, I think of that brand when I think of this
a
type of hat.
Type in Fergora. Oh, no, not it.
Yeah, that's a bucket hat.
I don't know. To me, it looks like a golf hat or like just an old man's hat.
Yeah, it was a cool interview.
Yeah, it was.
Very cool. Especially where they were at this point in their career.
Yes.
That's really the thing about it. Because they had already had massive success.
Yeah.
But they were just going to continue on, especially with this album, to even more massive success. You know, like their career is just like went high, like super high. And then you're like, wow, they're just like the peak. And then it's like, oh, no, it goes higher. You know, like that's these guys. Pretty incredible. Really incredible career. All different kinds of music, right? Lots of different. I mean, if you look, these guys are going to be, right? I mean, how many albums do they have? 13 albums. These guys are going to be, you know, one of those bands that's been around and has decades worth of records. And someone in the future is going to do their entire discography. Reaction videos. Be like, I've never heard of this band, you know, like I heard them, but I wasn't into his voice. That's these guys because they have all these different periods of music, you know, like
I basically like went for 40 years.
Yeah, like I was really into One Hot Minute. I was into Californication. I was into Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I personally really like One Hot Minute. I think it's an underrated album. Again, those kids that I was teaching, they were really into Stadium Arcadium and even By the Way, right? And then there's all those 80s albums that they put out, which is like totally different. I mean, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, that was maybe like
Do you remember that song, I'm the Little Pea?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on One Hot Minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's an underrated album, in my opinion. Very cool. Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're classic.
Yeah, I used to have One Hot Minute. This is when they used to have the lyrics in the little sleeves still, in the CDs. Mm. Yeah, I used to listen to it and look at the lyrics.
Yeah.
Did you do that all the time? And I would try to memorize the lyrics?
Sometimes.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I looked at everything, but, you know, yeah, I'm not like super lyric guy.
And there was like a drawing of a pea on the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's still at my parents' house.
I don't know. Very cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next video.
Bye.